guys, welcome to the VA Diary. This is the life of a virtual assistant. So this week has been really good. I can't wait to catch up on everything that I've been up to. Overall, I'm feeling super optimistic. Like my plans for the future, how I want to build the business. I'm going through like this transition period of being a virtual assistant. I've been a VA for the past 5 years and I'm transitioning more into entrepreneurship. So building the business, training other people to be able to deliver the services that I built in QPA. And yeah, I'm feeling very, very hopeful and optimistic. So let's get into this week. Starting off at the beginning of the week. So Monday, I was listening to a podcast. My favorite podcast at the moment is Emma Grede Aspire. Brilliant. So on her podcast, she brings on people who are super successful in their various roles. So it's not just straightforward business founders. It could be anyone. And she goes into like, what I love about it is that she goes into the detail of how they got to where they are. And they don't just talk about the nice stuff, it's everything, like the struggles they've had, how they built up their names, and, you know, all the people that were instrumental in their growth. So I love it. And this week, they had an interesting guest. It was a guy who's like a communications expert. And in all honesty, in the beginning, anytime it's not someone who's like found our business, I'm just like, should I listen? I was like, you know what? Communications runs across everyone needs to be good at communication, right? So I was like, let me just listen to it. So I listened and it was fantastic. So the guy was just talking about how you can be better at communication and how leadership is very connected to being a good communicator, because in order for you to get people to believe in your vision, to follow you and to thrive around you, you need to be good at communicating key messages. And there was a section in it about difficult conversations. Now, on Monday, I had to have I didn't realize how difficult it would be, because essentially I was cracking down on something that I should have been more on it from the get-go. But I had to speak to one of my branch managers and just be like, look, all the lead generation, all the business development falls on my head. And we've got serious plans, we've got serious targets for QPA that we want to be hitting, whether that be monthly, quarterly, or for the year. And there's no way that this business is going to grow exponentially on me. Like, I would be a bottleneck. If I'm out of the business for any reason for 1 week, we need to still be drumming up new business. And because of my efforts, I've made them lazy. That's how I feel. And it was just about me basically saying, look, this can't continue. And I've realized that I can be such a people pleaser. And when you're in business, being a people pleaser is good because you are attentive to people's needs. And that's what you need to do when you're delivering a service and you're meeting a pain point. However, it also means that you let too much slide. So I've been way too lazy when it comes to actually making sure that targets are met and people are on top of what they need to do. So I was just like, look, let me just be honest and break this down. Cut a long story short, I'm really glad I listened to that podcast before I went into this conversation, because I went in confident about the message that I had to give. And also, I said my piece and I was really clear. And usually I'll dance about the negative parts, but I didn't. And I think I got the message across. So essentially it was just like, look, business development needs to fall on everybody's heads. It's a joint effort. So these are your targets. This is what needs to be done. And for anyone who is looking at building an agency, building a business where it's not just you as a virtual assistant, my recommendation, my piece of advice would be set out your sales development or the sales responsibility with the people around you from early. Like, let it be something that you start with and not have to chase up on after, because I think it's harder to be more firm with those targets when you've let it slide for so long. So that's what I'm trying to backtrack on, which also means with my other branch managers, I'm being like, no, this is what it is. So yeah, I think it was a positive conversation. I mean, on my side, I said what I needed to say and I got it across. But let's see, over the next couple of weeks, months, I'm going to see what activity is coming from that side of the business. And I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be that owner and that boss woman who is relentless and really clear. And going back to Emma Grede's podcast, I remember listening to one episode with Gwyneth Paltrow, And that was her thing as well. She's been building Goop for like 15 years or so. And one of the questions they always ask is, what is important to you now that wasn't important to you when you started? And it was having difficult conversations and being really clear about your wants and being a bit more brutal. And I don't think it comes naturally to us as women to be brutal, and to be cutthroat. But there's a certain place where that is needed in business, and that's what I'm learning. So hopefully, like I said, in the next few months, I'm going to be able to see the fruits of this conversation. Okay, so Tuesday. So my sister, she is always in the dentist because of her love and passion for sweets. So she had to get her wisdom tooth out and get put under sedation, and she needed to go to hospital. I had to go with her. So I took the morning off work on Tuesday to accompany her to the hospital. And she's all good. Like, it went well, and she was much better than we thought she would be. But in the evening, I had a really interesting session. So part of what I do is I love to speak to students, and that could be preferably, I've done primary school, secondary school, and university, but preferably secondary school. And it's just talking about the influence that mathematics can have on young women and encouraging more young women to take STEM subjects. How does this link to being a VA? Essentially, I became a VA because after doing my mathematics degree, I got to understand how people work, how systems work. There was project management in my degree. And I just feel like I pulled on so many different skills that I was able to pull that together to implement in my business. So maths has been a really big part of my career. And it's just about inspiring the younger generation, the younger females, to take maths to further education. So one of my friends connected me with this girl, and they need people who are in their careers, business owners that use maths in their journey, to come and speak. So I had a panel talk. It was really good. I love being on these platforms because, again, you just don't know who you'll meet, who's listening to you and sharing about QPA. And I had a couple of people add me on LinkedIn and message me like, thank you so much for the talk. I benefited from it and connected with me. So that was good. And yeah, I'm happy I did it. It was an interesting session. It went on for so long. Not to throw any shade. It was good. I think it could have been more to the point. And I also feel like the questions were a little bit stagnated, in the sense that the moderator was being very generic. Whereas if she focused the questions towards us in our careers, she probably could have got more out of it. However, it was fantastic. I love the opportunity to speak, and it helps me polish up on my public speaking, because as much as I'm a talker and I'm always talking, I spend all day talking, I'm not the most confident public speaker. I could probably do with some training, of course, in public speaking, to be fair. But I love the opportunity to polish on my skills and get the business out there. So yesterday, Thursday, I went to the Black Tech Fest in London. So this was interesting. I actually done a video on TikTok reviewing Tech Fest, but this being my channel, I can go into a lot more detail. I've got more time about how that went. So 2 years ago, I made a massive decision to be intentional when it comes to networking. And that's just not going to free events. Like, I've stopped being a brokey and only going to free events, because I always say with virtual assistants, we're trying to build relationships with clients. Being a PA, EA, VA is not just tick box, do the service, send it over. It's so much more than that. And in order to get meaningful clients and relationships and conversations going, you need to get out there and network. So I've been very intentional about that. So I'm always searching events that I can go to that are relevant to my industry. And I came across the Black Tech Fest because it came up on my Instagram feed. So I went onto it. I was like, okay, this looks interesting. The lineup was fantastic with the type of speakers they had. The sessions looked really interesting. So they went into a lot of detail about what they'll be speaking on every panel. From an advertising perspective, I think it was excellent. And it really gave you a good picture of what you would get in going to the event. And they advertised specific networking sessions for areas. So, like, for example, there was a marketing networking session and engineering, etc., which I think is great. So they had different options, and there was the what option was there? There was like the standard day pass with after party, executive pass, which got you access to the VIP lounge, got you premium access. And then there was the VIP pass, which was premium access to everything, goodie bags and some extras. So I decided to go for the executive pass because I wanted access to the VIP lounge. I wanted to do some really intentional networking with decision makers, business owners, founders. That was my idea. And also, I am trying to build a platform. So being connected with people in the tech industry makes a lot of sense because there's room for collaboration, room for people to inspire me, areas that I need some support on. It just made a lot of sense for me to go down that route. So I chose the executive pass. And I was really excited. I got a really cute outfit together. I was like, yes, this is it. Prepared myself. I took the whole day off work to go because it was a full day event, 10 till 6. And yeah, so the day came. I drove up there. It was in North London. So I drove there, managed to find parking, which was reasonably priced. And I got to the event and okay, so you might want to just watch my review on TikTok, but yeah, I got to the event and there was loads of security. I've never been to an exhibition with that many staff before in my life, which is great for them. Happy for you guys. Your budget must be great. And they're like, attendees this way, VIPs this way. I picked the executive pass, so I assumed I was with the attendees because I didn't go for the VIP pass. Went through and got my badge, met this lovely girl from Paris. She lives here now, but she's French. Lovely girl into marketing. We were chatting, walked up together. And that kind of helped me because walking in with someone was quite nice and there was a lot of people. So I didn't also realize how big the event was and the number of people that would be there. Walking around for ages, went to some of the sessions, the panel speaking sessions, which were good. And I realized that I wasn't getting anything priority. And I'm like, look, I paid significantly more than the standard pass. So the standard pass was £50. I paid 149. And I was like, surely there's more to this. So I went to the information desk, like, where's the executive stuff? Cut a long story short, they realized that when I went to the desk downstairs, they gave me the wrong pass. I only got the standard pass, but I actually paid for executive. So she's like, yeah, you've got to go back downstairs and get a new pass. I wasn't happy about that. It was freezing cold downstairs. It was far and it was just very long. So yeah, anyway, I had to go down. I went down. I was thinking, should I just cancel and go home and get a refund? But then I realized that it'll probably take a million years to get a refund if it comes. So I went down, got my executive pass. Finally got the right badge now. And then now I was able to go into the VIP lounge, which is the only thing that was there for the executive pass. Went into the VIP lounge and it was just literally a lounge. Like imagine going to an airport lounge and that's it. Yeah. Now, my issue with that is the whole point of being in the VIP lounge was for networking opportunities. But when you go in, people are just sitting and talking. The networking is not facilitated. You don't know who to approach, what the reasons people are there. They could be staff. Do you get what I mean? So where is the networking? And my thing was, don't advertise it as networking if that's not what it is or you're not going to facilitate it. If it's just go and network yourself, then just put networking opportunities, but don't sell it as a given, if that makes sense. The positives of the event was that there were a couple of panels that I genuinely found to be really useful in terms of the topics they were speaking on, the people, very interesting. I think the quality of the panels was excellent. And it was just a very big event and executed really well. As a founder, I don't think it was that useful. I think a lot of the companies, the people were coming from large corporations. You had Just Eat, Apple, Goldman Sachs, all massive corporations, international. So if you're a founder with a startup business on zero, there's not much you can learn because all the strategies that are being shared are for big corporations. So my advice was, if you are in the tech industry, you're trying to climb the ladder, get to the top, get a better role, get more money, speak to recruiters, find mentorship, great place to be. You're literally surrounded by people who can help you bump yourself up. If you're starting from fresh and you're building your own product, it might not be the best option. So that was my day yesterday. I ended up leaving early because I feel like I could have researched some of the other topics, probably watched them online. Um, but am I happy I went? Yes. To be honest, I am, because it exposed me to that exhibition. And now that I understand what it does, if I ever go back again, it would be with that specific purpose and not just generally trying to make new connections. That was that. Um, and that's really my week wrapped up. Today I had a new client call. I met this lady. So one of my VAs went to an event for our client, and she gave out our business cards and connected with a few people who needed VAs. So I met with her today. It was a nice, sweet and short call. I'm really good at discovery calls now, just because I've learned how to understand people's needs, and really listen to what their pain points are and make sure that we can deliver. So it's a really good call. And then we'll follow up with a proposal. And hopefully that'll be a new client next week. And just taking that to a larger scale now, that's the plan. So have more people that we're having those conversations with. And yeah, so it's been a really productive day. I've got the weekend off. My daughter's with her dad, so I'm gonna rest, recoup. Next week is gonna be all what's the term? All guns blazing, because we've got the UK Black Business Show next week, which is costing me an arm and a leg. But we were there 2 years ago, and it was definitely worth the investment. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be very busy, but all productive, all new stuff, new connections, new opportunities, all good. Okay, so I'm going to do some quick fire questions as a virtual assistant. Let's go. What's the first task you tackle when you start your work day? Okay, so after I've done my own personal stuff, the first thing I do is business development. So I changed that recently. Before, business development was just part of my to-dos for the day. But now I've changed that, where the first thing I look at is my follow-up list. What prospective clients have I spoken to? What stage are we at? Send some follow-up emails, planning calls, but just looking at the development list. Building the business is really important. And I think because being salesy doesn't come natural to everyone, it's easy to put off and be like, oh, I'll call that person next week. I'll call that person next week. But now I'm almost forcing myself to put that at the forefront of my tasks. What's the one tool or app you can't live without as a VA? Honestly, okay, Google Workspace, because that's where literally my whole business operations hangs on it. But ChatGPT, still all day, every day. I work so much on there every single day. I use it to prepare documents, reply to emails, everything. Client calls or emails, which do you prefer? Emails, because they're quicker and I can use ChatGPT to answer. If you could work from anywhere in the world, where would it be? Okay, I've been on this thing where, Bernadette, you're a virtual assistant. You don't need to live in London and pay £1 million a month to live. You could live anywhere, move. If I was to literally choose somewhere immediately, it would be Ghana. I love Ghana. I love Accra. I love how chill it is, and there's still quite a decent economy. So yeah, Accra. What's the most satisfying part of being a virtual assistant? For me, my satisfaction comes from being so close to the wins and the successes of my clients. So because what we do is very operational and we're in the midst of the work, when they do win, we're so close to it and we get to appreciate and be a part of their joy and celebration. So I love a success, I love growth, and I love to see results for my clients. Genuinely, it's always been the thing that drives me and makes me happy. That's my week. This is the Diary of a VA, and I will see you next week. And I'll be telling you all about how the UK Business Show went.